I got stuff for you.
Holy moly. I need to get some snakes and release them around my house.
But they love eating people. They love eating kids.
These guys are the scientists of the supernatural, lecturers leaving lessons for inquiring laymen. They are applying the scientific method to a world that baffles science. They are the cryptids of the corn.
Every day that you open your mouth,
I know, right?
I'm more convinced that you're abducted by aliens.
No.
And it just stood up. I mean, it just like kept going and going. And she goes, what the?
These are idiots.
I was laughing reading this because I already knew how you would feel.
Idiot. What part of the story fits your balloon?
Well,
This isn't a UFO. But who else has big black wings and red eyes?
Batman.
Well, Mothman.
Oh, yeah, Mothman.
Well, everyone, I think we know exactly what it is. So say it all with me. It was the sandhill crane.
Would you try it?
No.
You wouldn't eat it?
No.
Why?
Because they're probably toxic. There'd be a lot of poop in my pants. I've seen a 6-foot alligator go swinging through the air and slam into a tree.
Are you acting like one of your children?
Yeah, actually. Hey, welcome back to Cryptids Podcast. I'm Aaron Power, Mr. E.
And I'm Jay Clone 719.
Ooh. Today, we're going to talk about scariness.
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 Scariness. You know, I was going to say at the beginning of the song there, I still haven't gotten the snakes.
Oh, yeah.
I still haven't released them around my place. So we got to get on that.
You have dogs that will take care of them very quickly.
Well, I want to put them in my house, like inside the walls and
I
stuff.
don't even remember what episode that's from.
I don't either, but I remember.
Most of that stuff, I don't even remember.
We need to get them. I need to put them in the walls and under the floor and in the ceiling.
I think Peyton's thing is from a Lost episode.
No, that was from you mean when she said, say it with me, a sandhill crane. No, that was from one of our Patreon nights on Discord.
recorded it, though.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know where it ever happened to it, because it was mysterious winged entities was the topic that night.
It didn't make a Patreon episode? I probably did.
I don't think it did.
Maybe not. I don't know. A lot of stuff, fun stuff happening on Patreon. So join our Patreon to get access to Discord and all that fun stuff where we interact and talk to you guys and discuss a lot of inside baseball.
But yeah, we're going to talk about the mysterious crying that's heard in the woods.
Oh, that's why you were crying.
And who's responsible.
Sounds interesting.
I have a couple stories from various different sources. First one's from Mysterious Universe about Ennis, Texas. E-N-N-I-S. Ennis.
E-N-N what?
I-S.
Ennis.
Ennis?
Yeah.
How you say it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, like Dennis.
Yeah, without the D.
Mm.
Ennis.
Ennis.
Yeah.
In the small town of Ennis, Texas, there was a site of a brief series of such scary encounters with a Bigfoot-style entity in 1964. Those same encounters involved an immense monster, one which was described as half a dozen people who saw it being somewhere between 8 and 10 feet in height. So quite a large creature. 10 foot is
Big.
For everybody at home, a really big African elephant is 13 feet tall at the shoulder.
Oh, okay. The big guys, too.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's big.
Oh, that's huge.
Notably, nearly all the accounts occurred at a site of an old and now demolished wooden bridge that spanned a still existing creek.
Okay.
Eye-opening is the fact that the bridge came to be known later by locals as...
Gosh, I don't know. Silver Bridge?
Crybaby Bridge.
Okay. So, is this the origin story?
Could be. It's 1964. One specific account of a disturbing and baby-like wailing was to be heard when a hairy monster was around. This is adding a lot more than the normal Crybaby Bridge style stuff. So they said when you would hear this crying, this wailing of a baby, it was actually a giant Bigfoot-like entity.
Like making the noise?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think so far?
I think it's weird.
Do you think it's a Bigfoot?
Could be.
Fortunately, despite the voice sounding like the cries of a baby, no one fell for the potentially deadly ruse. So nobody bought it. Everybody's
So
like,
it was enough to sound like a baby, but enough not to make you feel like
enough people in the beginning of the sighting saw the creature like barely.
Oh, okay.
So like when they were on the bridge, they could see this giant hairy thing in the woods making the sound.
Yeah, I would not be going down there either.
And it's I'm not buying it.
No. Yeah, no thanks.
All recognized it for what it was, an attempt to reel in the witness for a reason that remains unknown.
Lunch. That's the reason.
But they were surely nothing of a positive nature, they said.
Maybe this is when they first started like trying this technique out for 411.
Oh, missing 411? Yeah,
realizing that doesn't work. It might have worked for one Bigfoot, and they're all like trying it. They go to the big. There's once a year. There's a Bigfoot seminar up in Oregon.
Yeah,
and all the Bigfoot meet there, and they talk about like the luring tricks. You know, basically just like it's like our Bigfoot Jamboree. You know, we bring in a speaker each year to talk about big things in the Bigfoot community. They do the same thing about how to with humans and how to interact with them and capture them and make them disappear. That's why it's getting better and better every year, and why it's harder. That's why they know about the trail cams. They know about they know about all this stuff. Guns. They meet every year and talk about it.
There you go.
We're peeling the onion back.
They figured it off.
Right. It's easy. Yeah. All right.
It's easy.
Yeah.
So that was 1964. In 1969, the Bigfoot was back again, as there was again baby-like cries, which continued to haunt the old bridge and those who saw the beast. It was a period of roughly 5 weeks. So all of a sudden, you know, it was absent for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
People start hearing the crying again, and as they're on the bridge or looking around, they see this thing hiding in the woods or down in the creek or on the other side of the bridge.
Even 5 years later?
Yeah.
The same exact phenomena?
There was a big gap.
Right.
And then it was back again doing the same thing.
Maybe it came back because it was like excited and wanted to ask people about the news, how we went to the moon.
There you go.
That was 1969.
So
allegedly.
Again, the monster was immense. Most witnesses saying it was around 9 feet tall. There was a difference, however. The Bigfoot was seen to run on both four limbs and 2 limbs.
Okay.
Despite looking entirely humanoid in shape and stance when it was upright.
So if you me and you both know, if anyone at home listening hasn't watched or seen the research that Thinker Thunker does on...
I love Thinker Thunker.
Yes, on YouTube. He does proportions, like compares proportions for Bigfoot to humans. And when video has the proportions, or the creature in the video has the proportions that are similar to Bigfoot, and you can tell it's an authentic video, at least right there. Or it's some crazy costume with correct proportions. But there's a lot of videos too where he can debunk, because when you just measure the proportions, it's human. It's human proportions. Bigfoot does not have human proportions. But when you see, if I see a Bigfoot, I'm going to say, oh, it's human proportions. It just looks like it.
Yeah, roughly enough to us, it is.
It's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a torso and a head. That's a person shape. So it's going to look like it. But if you actually break it down, we're very different. Very different.
Mm-hmm. So one final thing was this particular matter. Of the several old graveyards that can be found in and around the area, one was called Crier Creek Cemetery. Oh, fitting. Crier Creek Cemetery is a town located just a few miles from Berry, Texas. Today it has a population of under 20.
Under 20?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Jumbo,
I was going to say it's Jumbo, Ohio.
Best town ever.
The smallest incorporated town in Ohio.
Gosh, it has to be almost in the country. It can't be much smaller than that.
No, remember there's that. Well, I guess I think there's a town of one guy because he's the mayor and everything, and that's like the tourist thing.
Oh, okay. We should do that.
That's to be said, deadly specific, outnumbered by the living in the 19th century town. There's a notable story behind the town's name. When it was settled in the 1850s, one guy, or by the guy by the name of William Melton, one of the most important things on his agenda was naming the town. It's an eye-opening to note that the name he's chosen, Crier Creek, was inspired by local legends.
Oh, okay.
So this is 100 years before the crying creature at the bridge.
In the 60s, yeah.
Yeah. So he's naming his town that he's founding after legends that were already around the area of this crying creature.
So it's a very localized phenomena.
Yeah. They were legends which suggested that one was to walk by the old nearby creek late at night. They would hear fear-filled cries of women and children. And there were stories of strange cries that are among the local creeks dating back to the middle years of the 19th century. Strong suggestions of the Chamber Creek monstrosities mimic were around long even before the events of the 1960s. So almost 100 years before that, there was just the story of this thing.
The same, phenomena.
So what do you think so far?
It's kind of prominent enough to name a town after it. I just wonder what the cries are. Is it this creature or is it creature imitating something? What if it's just the spot where the Spanish or whatever explorers were slaughtering people?
A bunch of babies?
Yeah, like they just, stole their land. And maybe this thing is just repeating the cries it heard that day. Who knows? I don't know.
I think we did a Patreon story with, I think it was called Murder Rock or something like that. Which was one of those things where they just like took a whole village out and killed them.
Gosh, it's so awful.
Now jump into the 1970s. Stan Gordon, one of the world's leading figures in the field of Bigfoot investigation, and particularly the cases that are steeped in mystery and high strangeness. In October of 1973, Gordon investigated a very weird case which focused upon a late-night landing of a brightly lit UFO in rural parts of Pennsylvania. The case appears in Gordon's 2010 book, Silent Invasion.
Wow.
As a group of concerned and interested locals reached the area of farmland where the UFO had touched down, the air was filled with the sounds of what seemed like, yes, you probably could figure it out, the crying of a baby. So this is
Typical.
rural Pennsylvania, all these locals. What?
Oh, wait, this ain't the same
No.
bridge as... Okay.
1970. So 1973.
So we're moved back forward in time, but now we're in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Sorry, I missed the Pennsylvania
This whole
part.
thing is about crying in the woods
okay,
all
gotcha.
over the country.
Okay.
But yeah, so these locals and farmers and stuff like that see this extremely bright and brilliant UFO fly overhead, land in a field. So a bunch of people go out there just to see, a whole big group of people go out there to see what was happening. And as they get closer, the field where it was, they could hear a crying baby.
Okay. I wonder... Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Obviously, it's something mimicking. I wouldn't imagine, unless the sound it makes just happens. That's the only thing we can associate it with. It just sounds like that. I don't know.
As the group got closer, they could see a significantly sized dome-like object sitting in the darkness of a large pasture. If that wasn't enough, to their horror, of the men, a pair of large and lumbering Bigfoot-like creatures loomed out of the shadows and proceeded to head towards them. Panic immediately erupted, and the group scattered, firing their guns at the beast as they did so. The bullets had no effect, and there was no evidence of any baby in distress or otherwise. Of course, their concerns was for the baby was key in finding spurred them to come closer to the UFO again, which in all likelihood was the goal of the sly mimicking monsters in the midst.
That's what I imagine. It's their goal. It's the lure.
Yeah. So these guys hear the baby crying, so they start going towards the UFO. They're looking for a baby. And these Bigfoot-like creatures kind of bum rush them.
Okay.
And they're running, and they're just turning around, shooting. And they get away, and then they kind of keep coming back because they heard a baby. So the next day, they all went out, and there was no signs of a baby and all of that.
Nothing.
So
like bum rushing them, like just scaring them off, basically?
Yeah, what they felt like trying to catch them.
Did they see them, though?
Yeah, the Bigfoots?
Yeah. Like physically like charging them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the Bigfoots were like running at them.
Gotcha, okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't like a bluff charge in the dark,
I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't, but the guys, felt like these things were trying to catch them.
Right.
And these are really tall and more the slender type of Bigfoot.
Okay. Yeah, and
Bigfoot-like.
well, Pennsylvania, we got the what's that called?
The invasion of Chestnut Ridge.
Chestnut Ridge.
Which is in the book, which this is a part of.
Okay, this is Stan Gordon's.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay. And you mentioned him, what, not 70s?
Mm-hmm.
And Stan is still active today. He's been
50
doing this
years later.
forever. Yeah, and I didn't think he was that old.
No, he's very healthy.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't look that old at all. So, wow.
Drinks a lot of water and eats UFO metal.
Way to go, Stan.
Keeps you young.
It works.
So I have a few more accounts I just found stories of people hearing things crying.
Mhm.
And it's just weird. So we'll just kind of talk about it and see what you think.
Which usually never a good thing when someone's crying.
I guess, what do you think?
I guess they could
What do
be
you
crying.
think of the Emrys, Texas one?
The Ennis, Texas.
What'd I say? Emrys.
I have no idea.
Ennis, Texas. So 100 years of baby crying.
On this one spot.
Yeah. To where the guy that founded the town
Named the
it
town
after the
after
creature.
him. Yeah. That's wild.
Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad?
Well, I would imagine if it was bad, they wouldn't have put a town around it. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine it's all too bad. It might have just been something they do.
Do you think it was, so is it a sound that these type of creatures make? Or has it learned that a baby's crying gets attention and maybe it wanted people to move closer for maybe a more curious thing,
Could be that.
not a maybe nefarious thing?
Right, yeah. I mean,
Is-
it could be that. I mean,
A lot of times in the 60s accounts, when people would hear the baby crying, they could see the Bigfoot thing.
doing it, yeah.
And whether it was kind of hiding, kind of
Yeah.
walking, but it was letting itself be seen,
Hmm.
dozens of times at least.
What if, too, if it is like, Bigfoot are these interdimensional creatures, and that crying was just like the hum, like the background hum of its existence here.
Sure. I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like radio fuzz. You know what I mean? Or static, radio static. I don't know. That's just a guess. That's a theory, like gravity. Just a theory.
Just a theory. Yeah. So, if you had to put it in a box,
Yeah,
would you say nefarious or would you say otherwise?
I would say otherwise. Just because I feel like there would be more nefarious tellings, more nefarious stories coming from this area.
Oh, those are the people that get got.
That's why there's only. Was this the town of 20 or was that the other one?
They're next to each other.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought one was in Pennsylvania.
No, that's a different thing.
Okay, that's
the Bigfoots that came out of a UFO trying to grab people.
Okay, fair. The Chestnut Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shoot. That's probably why there's only 20 left then, but maybe not. I don't know.
It's just a small town. It
Right.
probably never blossomed anything
Right, yeah.
magnificent, size-wise.
Didn't have the resources.
So what do you think of the Pennsylvania one?
Obviously, that one's wild and classic. Still don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. Because
You can look up, they actually have recreations of this encounter,
uh-huh.
and they are definitely very menacing creatures.
Looking.
I believe, now, I don't know how factually correct this is, but
Yeah.
in some of the reenactions, they have the glowing red eyes.
So, yeah, if that is the fact.
So the Bigfoot, the UFO's parked in this field.
Right.
They hear the baby crying. The Bigfoots come out of the side of the darkness. They're not coming directly out of the UFO.
You're right.
Running at the people.
So, they flanked them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
It really seems like a pinch point trap.
So, okay, so my questions are, why is the UFO landing there? Were these Bigfoot piloting it, or were the Bigfoot, are they part of it? Are they, I don't know. But with the red eyes, I think we're on to something where it's demonic or it's government made, or it's both. It's probably both.
1970s, yeah. That would be in the time when government was doing some of this.
Oh, I feel like they've been doing this for
I think this is the height of
centuries.
it.
Okay.
When they were testing stuff on the American people.
In the public,
Yeah.
like on the public,
like
I guess.
monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Which I think they've been doing this stuff since.
Cloned Bigfoots.
Or whatever it is, cloned hybrids. I don't know, lab grown. I don't know.
And Nephilim. This also reminds me a lot of, we did it in, I can't remember if we did it in our Bigfoot and UFO episode or if we did it in our South American creatures one, where there was a UFO scene hovering really low, and these Bigfoot entities come out.
Came
and they're
out of it.
Yeah, and they're collecting dirt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when the guys seen them, they got violent, like chimpanzees.
Right, yeah. Gosh. And
So he felt like they were dogs or work animals.
that, or if just, in a far, in the old world before the flood and everything, if these Bigfoot were, just sentient, smart enough creatures to where they advance to the level they they discovered 0 point energy,
Yeah, there you go.
and then they survived the flood through another dimension or on a UFO like type ship, and now they're back.
Now they're back.
That's it. It's
Back
that simple.
again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend.
Yeah.
Guess who's back? Anyways,
Now Bigfoot's back. Sasquatch back.
next one I have for you is from Reddit. Davis 1891 posted it
Okay.
in a Bigfoot discussion forum.
Okay.
With odd encounters and that kind of stuff. And this was on a tag of the crying.
Oh,
Or
okay.
The crying thing.
Right.
And it's literally titled The Infant Crying Thing. This is a very long story short. I had an encounter back in 2016 with what I'm assuming was a Sasquatch, and a very aggressive one at that. It ended up I ended up chasing it off with a shotgun, but never did get a glimpse of it at all. I'm still new to the Bigfoot scene, and a couple months ago, I first heard the Sierra Camp sounds on Hunted 411. And that's why I believe this my particular encounter back then was a Bigfoot. It is very similar. And I've been looking into it since. Anyways, I recently watched Small Town Monsters, and the episode I'm referring to is the Alaskan one. And in it, most of you know, they talk about human infant crying things in woods. And that's a big thing in the Alaskan monsters.
It's the same phenomena up there.
There's two different Appalachian cryptids or creatures that do this crying thing, and there's like 2 or 3 in Alaska that do it.
Okay.
And I think both sets are lures.
I agree.
As in what the folklore goes with them. I'm referring to the Alaska one, not talking about humans, infants crying in woods. And the lore is that it attempts to lure females away from camp. Now, this is unsettling to me because twice in the week of my encounters, my wife heard in what she described as something that sounded like a child crying in the woods. And he says in quotes, "We lived very, very remotely at the time. However, being a mother herself, she can say with certainty that it was not an actual human child, more like something mimicking a human child. Her words were it sounded way too high pitched, strained, and just different. We had an RCMP out there, and the officers couldn't, which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police,
Okay.
and couldn't find anything or anyone. And she checked all the vacation homes. Had several calls into Fish and Wildlife. Myself and a buddy tried tracking it after I scared it off to no avail. I'd never once had another incident. My wife, of course, doesn't believe in Bigfoot, and she was not around for my personal encounter. In my opinion, that this particular animal had bad intentions for my wife and was angry that she had gone and took it out on my property. I also think it was a female. I think this one may have been migratory because the house is hardly nobody ever stays at in the year round. I think that it's very familiar with firearms, and it was capable of it because of how fast it retreated. As I said, that they'd never seen another one since the incident."
Yeah. Sounds like he scared it off.
Mm-hmm. I've looked online, and it doesn't seem to have anything about the infinite happening a lot. And it just goes into asking about all this. And a bunch of other people saying that they have had similar instances with crying and not seeing the entity, but them having the same kind of feeling that it is not a human, but it is something imitating a human crying.
Right. Which can't be good.
No. So yeah, he really feels like it was trying to lure his wife away. Because it happened when he was coming back to camp, and his wife was hearing the thing. Then he went and got the shotgun, and then it disappeared.
I think that's too like a motherly instinct to follow that too.
It's a huge part. Me and Emily were just talking about this recently.
Okay.
That so a complaint or things that she's noticed is that I can sleep through the girls crying at night,
and she can't.
and she can't.
Yeah.
So there's a neurological reason for that. So roughly, men's brains stay about 10% active during deep sleep.
Okay.
It's not very active.
No, it
takes
very
a lot.
minimal.
It takes a lot to alert men. Generally speaking, this is generalization of normal neurotypical behaviors.
Usually it's like either a really loud noise or someone like moves the thermostat.
Yeah.
Snaps you right away.
The thermostat.
Yeah.
Women, however, typically stay 70% neurologically active in deep sleep.
That sounds terrible.
Well, but that's the point, is that
That sounds
biologically speaking, it's not saying they don't sleep deep or anything like that. Is that they are more attuned to surroundings.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I get it.
So
it just sounds awful.
And and that's the brains are programmed to be not annoyed. That's not the right word.
No, but
But the
alert.
screaming
Yeah.
is like it gives Emily anxiety sometimes because when we have 3 kids, it's really hard to get all 3 of them happy at one time.
Yeah.
But that's a biological reason. You're programmed to eliminate the crying appropriately.
Like nails on a chalkboard?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's supposed to bug you.
Right. Because, I mean, obviously I don't have any kids, but when all your kids cry, especially at the same time, it never bothers me or gives me anxiety. But I know, like I can pick up one and make her stop.
But then there's 2 more.
Right, yeah. But, like, all right, I guess if it was me in my shoes, yeah, I'd probably be more relatable to you where, well, just take them on one by one until is all we can do.
You just gotta keep doing it.
Right.
But yeah, that's because of the neurological differences
Okay.
in man and women's brains, specifically when it comes.
Or wired, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the average, right? And there's
Right.
there's-
Oh, yeah.
there's differences either way. Like
Roles can be flipped.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. That's just the average neurotypical individual's brain.
Correct.
I just want to make that clear that it's not everybody,
Right.
but
We're not fitting everybody in the same box.
it's the majority.
Correct. It's this, yes. House average.
hmm So yeah, what do you think happened
What you mean with?
with his story? The Royal Canadian Mounted Police got involved.
Yeah.
I seen several people posting. One of the persons that posted on this claimed to be a retired Royal Mounted Police,
Okay.
saying that in the rural country, the back countries of some of these provinces,
Yeah.
the crying was not uncommon.
So it's like a normal phenomena.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's common,
Not normal
but
either.
when they get called out to weird things,
They know it.
the baby crying,
Yeah, it's
is
not weird to them.
Out of it,
Correct.
out of the realm.
Correct.
And a lot of the natives in the area always advise just don't ever go near it, don't look at it, turn the other way and walk away. Like, it's not good.
So yeah, my question is though, what is the phenomena though? Is it the sound, or is it a Bigfoot, or is it something imitating both? You know,
Is it?
I don't know. That's where it gets just weird with all this stuff. Anything Bigfoot, cryptid, dogman, any cryptid
The
related.
title of the episode is Crying Bigfoot.
Crying Bigfoot. I mean,
But is that like Crying Wolf?
oh, I getcha. The boy who cried Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
No, but I really think that he was probably his thoughts were right. That it was probably targeting his wife.
Yeah.
I mean, whether good, bad, and different. I mean, I've already mentioned, I believe, the Browns property once, or maybe it's later in the week. I've mentioned the Browns property. But the activity is completely different when her husband is home
Correct.
than when he is away.
It's just her, yes.
Yeah, because when they first I think it's definitely mild out now. But when they were first having all these experiences and stuff like that, our friends have been out there. Tony and Joel were out at the property, and
Mhm.
They believe there's very, very real, credible things to their story, which is always nice to hear because I don't know the Browns,
Right.
but I trust those people.
Absolutely.
So if those people say that there's credible stuff to it, and I'm very interested.
Yes.
So the activity was very, very different and structured around when the husband was home and not.
Okay.
Where they would become very aggressive when he wasn't home. As
Towards-
in,
yes.
Yeah, because they would pee on her fence.
Right, yeah.
She would literally see the big 9-foot tall one, like standing on the corner of her yard, 30 feet away from her front door.
Front or back to her?
Huh?
Was it front or back to
He
her?
was facing her, like he was watching her.
And he was peeing?
But yeah, he did it a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, on the fence. Like on the gate.
So I've never, I mean, probably immature, but I've never heard anyone describe what the male
Oh, yeah.
Bigfoot's member.
We've talked about that.
We talked about it. We never.
She didn't see it either.
Right? Yeah. No
Because it was
one's ever
behind-
seen it.
Which it could be hair. It could be more like gorillas, where it's just incredibly the size difference.
Right, yeah.
they're very small.
Could be like a dog though.
It
It just
could be
goes.
internal.
I don't know. It's just one of those details.
It matters what kind of mammal it is if it's a mammal.
That's true. Yes. That's just a weird detail that you would think somebody along the lines would see that and describe it. I'd imagine it'd be a memorable.
That one guy has one in a freezer.
Yeah. He's Yes.
He's not well.
Or maybe he thinks he's funny and it doesn't.
I think it's more that.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I don't know.
It doesn't land, I don't think. At least for me.
No, not for me either.
What was I saying now?
The aggressive behaviors.
Like peeing on her fence.
Yeah.
Like marking territory where she comes in and out.
Right.
Messing with her animals. And then what did it do? It mimicked the dogs.
Remember?
Remember?
Yeah.
What was it? Lila and something else was the dog's name.
I don't remember the names.
And she heard the Bigfoot call her dogs in her husband's voice. Not exactly, but like
close.
she said like it was mimicking my husband.
Yeah.
Because the way he calls the dogs was always high pitched and would do it at the same time.
Yeah.
Like Lila, Jack, Jack, something like that. And the dogs were staring at her.
Like, what do we do?
And then looking in the woods and then staring at her. Like it was trying to lure away the dogs.
And they knew something was up. It wasn't him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But is that them trying to lure away the dogs, or is that just them repeating something that they know gets attention?
Right. Like a parrot or a raven or whatever.
Yeah,
or
where they
crow.
don't really know the meaning maybe behind that phrase. But they watched enough that if I say that,
right,
it gets attention. So is the baby crying for this?
Right.
Do I just want attention? And I know that humans react
that
to
makes
an
you
infant.
look. Yeah.
Or is it the nefarious thing like the bait?
Right. Which I don't know. I don't know if one answer is right or wrong. Either way.
You want to hear a spooky thing about gorillas and babies crying?
Uh-oh. Sure.
You know what? I think I'll tell you after the ad break. But before we go to our ad break, remember the junior anglers of Ohio.
Future anglers.
The future anglers. I always say junior, but
I
the
know.
future anglers of Ohio, specifically the future anglers of Indian Lake. Facebook links below. Get your kids out. Get them fishing. If you want to join it, use the Facebook link below. Get a hold of those guys. If you want to donate anything towards them for the kids, use the Facebook link below.
Yes.
Also,
Flavors of the Forest, bringing you the greatest and best garlic dust product on the market. It's garlic powder for your food, and it's amazing. It's full of flavor, and it's better than any garlic powder you're going to find in the stores. I can guarantee that. It's just nothing that you can buy in the store is going to come close to the flavor this garlic can put into your food. And they got all sorts of different flavors. flavorsforce.com/corn. Well, things are looking good for the Jamboree this year so far.
True, but I wonder if there's anything else that can make this event even more awesomer.
Well, there's really only one person that could be the judge of that.
Hey, that's a great idea. Let's give him a call.
2 whoops and tree knocks. Sasquatch is there.
Hey guys, what's up?
Well, we're going over the schedule for the Jamboree, but you wanted to see what you think.
Alright, well, let me take a look here real fast. Okay, so the VIP tickets are $50 a piece, and that gets you into the Friday night dinner and meet and greet with the speakers and special guests. Monster costume contest? Well, that looks good. A free family room with activities for the kids? Well, that's outstanding. A Bigfoot calling contest. Of course, it looks like you're going to have a lot of food. Oh, good, and you'll have the craft vendors back. Last year, I actually found a squatchtopus. Well, let's see who the speakers are this year. Oh, you have Connor and Alexis Fighten, and Randy Bauer, Ron Murphy, outstanding. Oh good, you guys will be speaking. Which J-clone is going to be there? That's my question. And Tony Merkel as well. Oh good, you're going to have Jake Dressel back. He was excellent last year. And Brian Wolf. Why does that name sound familiar? Well, I have to tell you, gentlemen, having gone to a number of these events, this looks like it's going to be one of the best ones of the year. Say, will Tiny Toes be there?
Tiny Toes?
Yeah, the little guy that was there last year.
Oh, you mean Paul.
Yep. Tiny Toes will be there as well.
Tiny Toes.
Cool, well this all sounds fantastic, guys, and I'll look forward to seeing you there. Until then, Squatch Dust!
Bye! Squatch Dust.
It always gets me Squatch Dust.
And Squatch Dust is...
Flavors of the Forest.
Yep.
Now, so gorillas and baby crying. So in the early days when people were like catching gorillas to bring them over to the U.S. and Europe.
Okay.
So the
Horrible.
turn of the century, like the 1920s, 30s, 40s kind of stuff.
Okay.
They actually did this in the Tarzan TV show, the Disney TV show.
Okay.
With the mystical white gorilla.
Hmm.
And it was like a ghost or a fae or something like that.
Yeah.
But what they would do is inside cages, they would put a record player playing the recordings of a baby crying, a human infant crying. And gorillas were extremely curious. and they have very similar drives to humans for like protecting infants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of times gorillas, even big like giant males, would go in to look for the baby. Whether most of the time, in my opinion, to try to like help it or take care of it.
Yeah.
And then get caught in the cage.
Okay. So that was our lure to catch them.
So humans used a baby crying to lure in gorillas to catch gorillas.
So you think maybe they're imitating that behavior to lure us out?
No idea. I just thought it was an interesting piece of history that I knew.
It is, yeah. It's very. I mean, it lines up though. I mean, if it's the similar phenomena that we're using, why wouldn't another similar thing use the same exact, I guess, phenomena or technique? I don't know.
So the next one I found on the Bigfoot Society's podcast.
Oh, okay. That's Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Jeremiah. Check out his podcast.
Yeah, the Bigfoot Society.
And I found somebody had basically just done a little capsulation of one of his stories. But yeah, check out Bigfoot Society. If you want to see, if you go to their YouTube and look up the interview we did with them, you can watch a dog poop on our floor.
That was him?
Mm-hmm.
Clarice
came in the studio, pooped,
and then left. On camera. She got camera. Just on the, and she's blind.
I don't know what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing.
So this chilling account of a possible encounter with something otherworldly was shared on Jeremiah's channel. The witness, a resident of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, described hearing a baby's crying in the woods near her home, followed by a mysterious knocking that seemed to respond to her own. The witness, who goes by the name of Aaron, was outside with her husband taking pictures of the northern lights when they heard a baby crying. It's dark, you're outside, and you hear a baby crying.
Yeah, that's not good.
Good signs.
Well, it's going to raise your curiosity, that's for sure.
At first, they assumed it had to be a neighbor's child. But as the crying continued, they became increasingly more concerned. At first, they're just like, it's probably one of the neighbor kids or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it keeps crying and crying and crying. They're like,
okay, there's something
wrong.
Yeah.
So using Google Maps, Aaron realized that the woods was only 1,500 feet away from their home. And there were no way a baby could be out there alone. So they figured out that this baby's way back there in the woods. As the crying continued, Aaron decided to try knocking on a nearby tree, hoping to scare off any potential danger. To her surprise, she heard 3 sets of knocks in response, each coming from a different direction.
Okay, that's different.
That's important.
Yeah, it is.
At first, the first set was from the southeast, the second set was from the south, and the third was from the southwest. Aaron was understandably shaken by the experience, and her husband shared that he had heard the baby crying before when he was a young man. A couple is still unsure of what they heard that night, but they are certain it was not a human baby. So, they were on Jeremiah's podcast for like over an hour. This is a very watered down, fast version of their story.
Gotcha.
So go, if you want to hear the whole story, look up the Aaron's interview of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. No, so basically, this baby's crying like 1,500 feet back in this woods.
Okay.
When she gets out there, she hits this tree, knocks.
And she hears responses.
Yes.
But in all 3 different directions.
Yeah, 3 different, but she felt like individuals. And an interesting thing is they would have triangulated onto her point. What that means is like they were going to flank her.
Well, it sounds like one southeast, one in the south, and one in the southwest. Yeah, that's 3. Yeah, that's flanked.
Yeah. So if she was, the way she was coming in, if she would have kept going for the baby's crying, she would have been completely surrounded.
Encapsulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that?
Like a Blitzkrieg War, like a ship. I don't know. Isn't that where they like split it right down the middle?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. I'm not a war guy. No, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it sounds like a lure. It sounds like they were luring again. Like that. That's what the baby crying thing kind of seems like in all these situations, is just being a lure.
So do you think do you think they had nefarious intentions? Do you think this is practice?
That's the other thing. Like,
so a lot of predators will practice with no intent to kill.
Yeah.
Hunts. Like some big cats will just like basically pin animals and never eat them.
Yeah.
And just let them go. And
yeah.
Cats are kind of a bad example. Other animals will do this too.
I mean, I've watched small house cats do it with mice. They'll catch them and pin them.
Lion cubs, like when they're fighting, they'll actually fight their dads.
Right. Yeah.
And you ever seen the dads will pretend?
Right. Where the cub gets them
hurt and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's great.
So what if this is that these are highly intelligent creatures and they want to practice these hunting coordinations?
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't have any intent on hurting the woman, on hurting Aaron, but they just wanted to see if they could do it.
Right.
If they could get in a position, if they could lure in.
Or two, what if they're luring away? Not luring you to, or they're luring you to them, but not for them to get you, but to lure you away maybe from something else. I don't know. Just diverting your attention.
But when she knocked, they all knocked back.
Right, yeah.
So is that the sign that, like, maybe they're using that to communicate, or, like, if it's a vocalization, it happens to mimic, and they're like, huh, who's that? And so they all sounded off.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. The response is weird. You could be right. I can't think of anything else.
She was very close to getting into a trap.
Ooh, or that too, yeah. I don't know. What if the 3 knocks weren't 3 separate ones? It was just the same one teleporting. Like when Nightcrawler and X-Men, like when he pops, I guess in and out, or out and in, whatever you want to call it. Either way, in like the movies or the cartoon, the TV, it always made a noise like poof, poof. You know what I mean? Maybe the tree knocking is the sound of them teleporting, poof, poof. But it sounds like, I don't know. Who knows?
Could be. Now, it caught me earlier.
Uh-oh. I predicted it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Nostradamus.
So, a lot of these, and there's hundreds of these online,
Uh-huh.
are blamed on Bigfoot.
Okay.
And almost none of them have a clear view of Bigfoot.
Except from that 60 sightings in
And
Texas.
all they seen was a giant hairy creature.
Okay.
And it would run on all fours and stuff like that. And that was very odd to them, that this humanoid thing would get down and run on all fours.
Oh, don't tell me that you found an animal that fits this. Oh, no.
No, there is another paranormal entity
Oh.
that has thousands of years of history of luring humans away from civilization with the crying of a baby.
Right, yeah. A siren?
No, specifically here in North America.
Wild Bill?
Yes.
I don't know.
Is said to be 10 feet tall, hulking, skinny humanoid
Grafton Monster?
with flesh hanging off it, covered in patches of fur.
Ooh, Patches of Octoman?
An indescribable hunger for the flesh of humans.
A vampire?
Skinwalkers.
Okay.
And
Skinwalkers.
the Wendigo.
Ooh, okay.
So the Wendigo is said. You remember our Wendigo episodes? We've done 2 of them. When to stay, when to go.
Yes.
There were several of those where these things would lure people away with voices, the loved ones, and babies crying.
Okay, both of them, yeah.
So it seems like the Wendigo's default, if like you don't know anything personal about you,
it goes to baby crying.
goes to baby crying. So I have some stories to connect to this.
That does make sense, too, as a default response. Not mimicking somebody, but mimicking something that all humans make.
And I'm kind of just putting this into the Skinwalker camp, too.
Yeah.
I've showed you that video, and I've watched this video hundreds of times, or I believe it's real. If I can find it again, I'll post it on Facebook, where it's a guy riding a horse. And
Bob Gimlin?
Yeah, out west. And the horse freezes and looks first. And then he hears a lady saying, help.
Okay.
And it sounds like she's really hurt. And he's yelling back. And the ladies just keep saying help. He's not really saying anything.
Right.
And the horse is like reacting heavily, like stomping its feet, not going forward. And when horses shake their head like that, it's saying
good.
No to the reins.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, that's not a good sign typically.
And then the horse actually turned and ran.
Ooh.
And in the video, you can just kind of see a humanoid in the woods.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
I've showed it to you. This was maybe a year or 2 ago. But
at least it's not sounding familiar.
And very skinwalker-y. And that guy on that ranch, I think we've even shared this whole story, had several encounters or secondary encounters with things before that.
Before that moment, yeah.
And he had, I believe it was either a Navajo shaman or it may have been a Ute shaman because he's out like Utah and stuff like that. Come out and tell him that it was a skinwalker hunting him. And he started putting the protective things on his fence. So it's the same kind of protective things that Skinwalker Ranch, when it was still the Sherman's Ranch, when their neighbors would put on their fences butting up to their property.
Okay.
And it was like basically keeping the Skinwalkers on their property.
Right. It's staying off theirs. Yeah. Huh.
So I have stories for you. And I can't validify these stories, but here you go.
Okay.
This is from a man known as Paul Dale Roberts.
Okay.
I am now retired from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. One of my tasks was being the custodian of records. I worked with a multitude of attorneys, judges, and law enforcement personnel in locating various records for the court cases. Some law enforcement personnel from the state became very familiar with me, and I became very familiar with them, as I was providing many of their documents for their cases. Many documents received my stamp of approval, and they were true copies from the originals. When working for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police as an officer in obtaining records, it became a long process as there were so many documents to scan. I became sort of good friends with the requesting officer. We would discuss the weather in Canada versus how the weather is in California. So you get what he's saying? Basically, they're just sharing records. He's the head record guy.
Right, yeah.
Or we would discuss what was going on for the weekend. When I told the Canadian officer that I like to paranormal investigate in my spare time, he became very interested in some of my cases. One day, I casually asked him if he had ever worked on a Wendigo case, and I did this as a joke. To my surprise, he told me that once talked with a terrified hunter who had made the claim that while he was out in the woods, he kept hearing a baby's crying. The hunter was mystified on why a baby would have been out so deep in the woods.
Right.
Where are there other hunters and the wild animals? The hunter gravitated towards the crying noise, and when he reached the embankment, he was horrified to see a 10-foot tall, skinny humanoid with what appeared to be a bald skull for a head.
Oh, gosh. It was me.
The creature had pale, almost dead skin. The hunter said he had to be looking at what was a Wendigo. The Wendigo hissed at the hunter and started slowly walking towards him.
Screw that.
The hunter ran as fast as he could, and luckily for the hunter, he came onto 3 other hunters extremely quickly. So it was going to be Wendigo Chow, and this thing was walking at him huge.
Yeah.
Walking at him slowly.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that knows I'm going to get you.
Yeah. Doesn't care even.
So, other hunters. He told the other hunters what he had encountered, and they laughed at him. The reason the other hunters related the story to the Canadian officer is because, once again, he had heard a baby crying in the woods. But at the time, he did not encounter the Wendigo. I asked the Canadian officer if he believed the hunter, and the Canadian officer said he hears a lot of Bigfoot stories. So he feels that he might just be some other strange creature in the woods.
Oh, okay. So he does believe him.
Yeah, he doesn't know if he believes in the Wendigo, but he's like, I hear enough
Bigfoot stuff.
I hear enough weird stuff out there that there's probably something out there.
Yeah.
The Canadian officer says that during his time on the work, he has never encountered anything paranormal, just heard many stories from hikers, hunters, campers in regards to paranormal things. The Canadian officer closed the conversation by saying, with so many people seeing things, there really has to be something going on. So not really saying that he believes in this, that, the other.
Right.
But there's enough stuff out there happening that...
And that's how I feel about the Bigfoot phenomena in general.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never have my personal eyes. I've never seen it. But I know enough people, you being one of them, that I believe and have just enough... I've just talked to enough people that I believe them. There's people I don't believe, too. There's people 100% I believe are telling me stories, tall tales. And it's just a feeling, I guess. But in general, I know... I've been saying this more recently, like to people when they ask about it. I don't know if Bigfoot is real or not, but I 100% know the phenomena of Bigfoot 100% exists. So that I think that way it covers my. I don't know if it's biological, paranormal, supernatural.
I don't know what Bigfoot is, but I know Bigfoot's real.
But I know it's real. I know. So I just say the phenomena of Bigfoot is 100% real. But what is it? I don't know. Still don't know. I hope one day, before I'm dead, on this show, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out and share it with you guys. At least our opinions.
I think if you camp at TJ's cabin for like 2 weeks,
I don't know if I'll know about Bigfoot, but I'll know something.
Well, I think you may see one.
You think I'll see a Bigfoot?
Yeah, or whatever his version of Bigfoot is out there.
Yeah, true. TJ and then Randy's. I gotta get up to Randy's too.
I just think TJ has a built viewing deck to the paranormal.
Yeah, that's true.
It literally feels like you're in Jurassic Park waiting for the T-Rex to come out.
Just peeking out over that little hill on the back of his property or down from the hill. Yeah, I don't know. I would do it though. I'm not. His house don't bother me.
If you didn't abandon me, I would be there. As long as you promised to stay with me 24/7.
Yeah. Shoot.
The only time I had anything weird at his house happen was when I was by myself.
Now, so what do you think that is? That you're vulnerable when you're alone, or it's just afraid of me when I'm around?
I think it's that phenomenon we've talked about with.
It's afraid of me.
Yeah.
That's why I've never seen one.
Mm-hmm. No. How do we normally put it? That the phenomena likes to show itself. It does not like to be looked into.
Correct. So individually,
yes,
it will.
And in most cases, it seems to be individual or smaller groups seem to get more reaction than large groups of people.
Right. I'm just saying, just saying that nothing happened when I was around. I'm just saying.
So
I think things fear me.
My thought is that I kind of wonder if none of these are Bigfoot, or none of them, or very little of them are actually Bigfoot with the crying.
Okay.
That it is this through line of paranormal entities from Appalachia, from Canada, from the West, that are said to do these baby crying things. And they're almost all described the same as humans that are twisted by dark magic or evil spirits that are hunting people. And they do these baby crying sounds. And it's not Bigfoot. It's just another big hairy thing out there.
Right. Or something imitating a Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like we talk about the umbrella term.
Yeah.
Any big hairy hominid in the woods is Bigfoot.
Right.
And I wonder if these things, like the Ennis, Texas ones, what if we just didn't get to hear the stories of the people that got off the bridge and went and looked? What if you're just driving by and you hear a baby and you're like, what was that? And you go out there and that's it.
Right.
They tow a car the next morning.
Right. That's it.
Or, it takes the car. We don't know.
Missing 411.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying, yeah.
It's so many of these stories with missing 411 deal with families and kids and being lured off and just walking away from the group a little bit.
Just a little, yeah. Just like behind a tree and you're gone.
So many of the Wendigo stories are like that too. One of my favorite, I guess, I don't know how to say this. I believe this story. And I'm going to give the paraphrase version of it.
Okay.
And that's why it's one of my favorite Wendigo encounters.
Okay.
Because I think it's true to the nature of the Wendigo, and I think it did happen. And I don't have it in front of me or anything, so it's just paraphrasing.
Off the dome.
Yeah, because we did this season 2, the season 2 opener.
Oh, the Wendigo special? Yeah.
To where she had let her dogs out. Her husband was inside. It was snowy, northern Canada. And all of a sudden, she heard her husband say, "Hey, Jen, come over here." And he's outside. And she didn't see him, but she's like, what? So she goes out and she's walking around and in the woods down this old trail. She goes, "Hey, Jen, come over here."
Right.
And she keeps following it. And then from the house, her husband comes out and he's like, "Where'd you go?"
Yeah.
And she turns around. And as she turns around and faces her husband, she hears behind her, "Hey, no, I'm over here."
Yeah.
She turns around and she knows whatever's out there
isn't him.
Yeah. And then she goes back inside and they stay inside and they had the footprints of that thing go on top of their roof. It was walking around their roof all night. And they stopped. Remember, they were just built that house that winter or that year. That was our first winter. And they never went back in the winter.
That's creepy.
There were several other Wendigo stories. And I think this crying infant is 100% a lure. Yeah. It is probably, I don't think, Bigfoot or whatever truly Bigfoot is, as in the big ape-looking guy.
Right.
Whether it's extra-dimensional or not. But I think it's more of these scary hominoids, to where it's the Wendigos, the skinwalkers, the pale crawlers.
Yeah.
It's those entities that are doing this that definitely seem to be like our predators.
That's creepy, though, to think about, like being real. But I believe it is. That's what's weird. That's
our
scary.
predators.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. I wouldn't like that. If you're ever out in the woods and you hear a baby crying, just run away. Let the baby cry. Just let him cry.
I don't know if you should put that out there. Think about it. I mean, think about the situation.
Yeah. You're in the woods.
People have found babies out in Hocking and stuff like that.
I guess that's different. Oh, gosh.
Be smart about it.
Yeah.
Call the cops.
All right. Yeah. Know your situation,
Maybe
I
not
guess.
walk away from it, but call the cops.
I guess it depends how deep in the woods you are.
Pull out your cross. Throw some salt.
Man. Yeah.
So what's your thoughts over the whole thing?
I do. I tend to think more. Yeah, it's definitely more the Wendigo, or that side of the
That thing,
phenomena
yeah.
over Bigfoot doing it. But not to say that a Bigfoot can or can't.
No, and I think Bigfoots are mimickers and stuff like that.
100% they are. Yeah,
But some of these things,
and I'd say a Bigfoot could mimic a baby's cry, and probably has. Probably has. But again, we don't. There's not too many stories. A Bigfoot luring you out. Obviously, I guess they'd all be dead.
yeah, I mean, you don't get many people either.
So it's hard to even say
you may
that.
not get many people surviving the trap.
I guess you're right. So it's hard to even make that comparison. But I guess in my mind, in my ever-changing view and shape of the world right now, I'm going to say that I don't think Bigfoot's luring you out there just to eat you.
And I didn't go into it too in depth. But there are animals that kind of sound like it. No, none that there's like bobcats and a lot of big cats can kind of do it.
Yeah.
Not really. Like it's not a human baby.
Right.
You could say it kind of sounded like it. And there's a couple birds that kind of do the similar vein thing.
Birds are just all sorts of crazy sounds.
And there's so many birds that people like. We just seen a nighthawk during the day yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Memorial Day for everybody at home. You ever seen one?
No.
They're huge. They're not hawks.
Okay. Maybe
called
I have.
nighthawks.
I really don't know.
I think they're sparrows,
Let me look them up real fast.
but they're like the size of hawks. They normally only fly at night and they eat bugs.
Okay.
But this one was flying during the day, and they look like pterodactyls when they're flying.
Okay.
They look like little fighter jets, but they move around and everything like that.
Okay, I'm seeing the picture of them. Yeah. Okay.
Like big sparrows.
Yeah.
But like hawk-sized sparrows.
No, I don't think I've ever seen one.
So they migrate by the thousands.
At nighttime, though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So in Ada, where we live, in the fall when they're migrating,
Yeah.
if you look up over the streetlights and you just stare at the sky for a little bit, you can see thousands of them flying over Ada.
That's pretty cool.
It's hard to see, but you can hear them. They make that squawk in the late fall or the late summer, early fall.
I'm sure if I heard it.
Yeah, that bird sound. Everybody's like, "Well, that's bats." No, it's birds, and it's them.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think these are. I don't think most of these are animals, as in normal animals.
Right, like a black bear or a ground sloth or a
Any of those.
coelacanth.
I think these are hunters. I think these are human predators. The uncanny valley thing that humans have ancient predators, and I think this is one of their hunting techniques.
Now, do you think these predators are like natural beings, or do you think they're supernatural, like predators? I guess.
Yes,
The yin to our yang.
I think it's both.
Or yin to yang. Yeah.
So it's what's supernatural, right?
Science we don't understand.
Yeah. So I do think these are highly sophisticated predators that, to our current understanding, are magical in some way, shape, or form.
So if they're naturally humans predator, I'm just following this road. If what we're saying is fact, let's just say it's all canon, real. If they are human predators and they're supernatural, wouldn't that make us magical and supernatural on the other end?
Have you seen what we've done to the earth? Yes.
Well, yeah. But I mean, if they can do supernatural things and they're let's just say, they're our opposite, they're the darkness to our lightness, if you want to put it that way. I don't know.
I'm not even saying they're necessarily evil. I think they are, at least maybe as a whole, they're not necessarily evil.
Well, not evil, but
like
our predator,
a mountain lion is evil to the deer.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So not like evil bad.
The
like
cat is evil to the mouse.
Right. Correct. So if that one, all I'm saying is, in order for us to exist, we have to have our opposite.
I think we killed most of them off as humans. I think
most of these things.
Yes, I think that there were many other things that were predatory towards humans.
Well, sure.
And I think now they're.
Do you mean direct predators? Like we are their competing?
No, I think we were. I think there were entities that existed on the surface that we were their main source of food.
Okay.
That's where the vampire legends came from. That's where the Wendigo and the skinwalkers and all that are these things. And I think that humans when our population exploded, we reduced their population dramatically. All the stories of us slaying dragons, killing the vampire, hunting down the monster, the evil witch in the woods.
Right.
We reduced their numbers. like any predator, they probably don't reproduce very fast.
Right.
And they may be more magical or esoteric in nature. So they may not even reproduce at all in a way that we functionally understand as reproduction.
Right. They may need summoned.
So I think that they are reduced or recluded to these very off areas.
Like old lodges and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but, like off in the state parks.
No, yeah.
Off in the wilderness. Down, in the swamps.
Off the grid areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where they get humans every once in a while, but not society. I do think there are things that live underneath, like the sewer systems in major metropolitan areas.
Okay.
Like in Columbus, Ohio, the disappearances. If you look up the Columbus, Ohio disappearance map, it matches the sewer system openings a little bit. There's a higher disappearance rating around where the mega, and I've been in the sewer system.
Yeah.
Not in it.
But you've been surveying.
You would not believe the extensiveness of that stuff.
Really? And it's crazy.
You have to, for a city that size, to move water.
Oh, for
especially
sure.
Rainwater and that kind of stuff.
For sure, but how old are some of the sewer systems? Some of them are so intricately built, and the craftsmanship, like
Well, you know what Shanghai is, right?
what
Shanghai.
to leave something
No. So the Shanghai tunnels,
in that
they would literally use the sewer systems to steal drunkards, sign them up, and sell them into slavery on a ship.
Oh, okay, fair.
So when you get Shanghai, you're getting roped into something.
Oh, okay.
So-
And they're still doing that today.
Yeah, but this was
But
like
not drunkards. Now it's like
so there was humans using it to hunt humans.
exactly, yeah.
The sewer system.
They're still doing it today.
Yeah.
Remember that place in New York where they were crawling out of the sewer systems? There are people there. I'm just saying, there's tunnels under everywhere. There are tunnels everywhere.
So I don't know. I think that these predators may have been dramatically reduced,
yeah.
and I think they're still there. And I think we just every once in a while run into them.
Right.
Because all these old stories of don't follow the light, don't trust the noise.
Well, and like you said too, they don't like to be looked into.
Mhm.
The phenomena doesn't like to be researched, but it likes to show itself.
It likes to show off. It doesn't like to be looked into.
Right. Kind of like a lie. Very similar.
Yeah.
Lies do not like to be looked into, where truths welcome it. Truths welcome questioning. Lies do not. So remember that. That's good wisdom, brain candy.
All right. I have been the great and powerful mystery.
And I've been JClone719.
We'll catch you next week, guys.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you for listening to Cryptids of the Corn podcast. Remember, the best way to support the show is share it with a friend. But if you are craving more of the J clones
And more from Mr. E.
there's always extra content on Patreon.
And our paid member space on cryptidsofthecorn.com.
We'll catch you next time with more exciting, fun, and informative information. Bye.